Hello my friends, I gave you the level 40 clear that I ran just yesterday, and quite a few comments have asked if I could give a level 25 guide as well to the Nightmare Asura fight to get the final rewards. So I'm going to do that for you here today, and what I'll do differently than the other guide is I'm going to show you with what would be a free-to-play team. So this is a team that anybody could have from playing the game. You wouldn't have to be pulling in all the banners. You don't have to spend money for this team. And so if you've just been playing casually and you've done like your selectors and stuff, these are all characters that you could have, today. And the other thing I'll tell you is it is always going to be easier to do this when your character is level 80. The characters I'll show you today, one of them is 80, the rest are not. But what I'll show you I think is completely doable at level 70. Even if you're at A0 for all of your characters, mine are going to have some duplicates. I've done some pulling, and the game is going to give you who they give you. There's nothing I can do to control that. I also cannot de-level my characters or take away awarenesses to show you at lower awarenesses. But understand that these are teams that you could build, with a global account today. So let me switch over to the game. Here we go, and we'll pop in. So the team I'm going to run today is the fire team. So a pretty basic one. This is an all-around good team to build. And even if you're planning on pulling for, much more, meta type characters later, this is a team I still pull out all of the time. And so the first thing I'm going to do is really think about what, features I want to use. Unlike the rank 41, you're basically just pulling everything up a level. So you'll see I have a lot of level 2s here, and certain things I can turn off that I don't have to worry about anymore. You also want to try to limit how much HP the boss has, because that's going to be a limiter, because he can have quite a bit of HP. And this is also a reason why I like the fire team, because they have burn effects. And then over here, you want to make sure that you don't do what I did on my last run, which is I had the reduced damage for fire, and I still beat it because I already did a test run of this. And so, do the smart thing and get rid of, whatever ailments or elements you're not using. I'm not using Curse, I'm not using Nuclear, I'm not using Psi. And so this is like a free 2 points that I can put into my level 25. Here, I'd like to keep my highlights. And if you can beat this within a certain turn limit, I could turn this on and do it in 80 turns and save a point somewhere else. But honestly, it's not that bad either way. Then if you have a Makoto team, the reason I didn't think much of the 25 challenge is honestly when I first came in here, I did it with my Makoto team on auto. I didn't pay attention to it at all. So if you're running a really strong team, you've got, Makoto, Vino, and a decent healer and Puppet, you can probably auto battle this if your Makoto's level 80, probably even level 70. So this is the first part. This is how I'm going to set it up, and this should be fine. I'm not going to limit myself on supports and debuffs this time. A lot of my other stuff you can back down to level 1, because again we only have to get to 25. So we'll go in the challenge here. This is the team. The only thing I'm going to do differently is I'm going to pull Norn out, and Pazuzu is particularly good in here. So you can put burn on him, you can get the curse stacks going. Now because I'm running a fire team, I probably don't have to rely on him for burn, but I can still get stacks of curse. And that's going to be particularly helpful in the second phase of this battle. So otherwise, again, you get Cattle. Key's a 4-star. If you've been pulling, you probably have them. If not, it's super duplicates. Same thing with Puppet. There's a good chance you have her. You don't need her. She just makes it safer. And then for On, I've been incredibly lucky, and I'm actually at A5. You don't need an A5 On. You could do this with an A0 On. She still does really good damage. Obviously, as you rank her up, she'll get more. The game just wants to give me her. So it is what it is. I'm not complaining, but I know someone's going to look at this and be like, oh, I don't have On. And then your choice if you want to go more offensive with the Inferno Blade, or if you want to go more defensive. I like to try to survive these things, so I'm just going to keep the defensive one on there. It's really not that big of a deal on this particular fight, which one you pick. And then the strategy is pretty much the same as if what you saw in my 40. I'm always going to focus on Bishamoten, but because I'm running an AoE team, the reality is I'm going to be taking them all down about the same time. So it doesn't matter as much on this team. But if you're running something more single target focused, then you are going to want to pay attention to Bishamoten. If you're running this team with Leo, when you start off, just look to see if somebody has burn on them. Matter of fact, I'm going to turn my face off here. Hold on. Look for someone with burn, which you can tell by this mark here. That way this becomes an AoE move. Oh, apparently I hit chat. That's not helpful at all. Because that will spread the fire. And then Fulu Fell, you're going to see probably a couple of times where I actually block with him. For now, I haven't used any SP, so it doesn't matter. But you can have SP issues with him, for sure. And the rest of this is honestly going to be a pretty typical rotation, where I'm just going to be trying to launch, you know, on into her damaging moves as quickly as possible. Her skill 1 gives her an attack buff, and then you launch skill 3 twice in a row, and then you just kind of repeat that cycle. And then for Ki, all I really care about is, can I keep burns going, and can I keep his other bleed looking thing, the rose thing that I'm spacing the name on, can I keep that up? And that's a pretty typical Ki strategy. If you want, I've got a guide on him, so feel free to check that out. And then here, because I'm in an AoE fight, I'm going to switch and do Marakunda, get their defense down. Again, back to Ki, I know they all have burn, and so I'm going to run his skill 2. And I'm basically going to use skill 2 as long as they have burn up. And that's the trick of Ki. Here, I'm just going to go ahead and go with On, get a little boost, and then for her next turn, she'll be, you know, a little bit better damage. That's, you know, partly because I have an A5 on her. Lufel, I don't actually need to heal right now, but he's also full SP, so I might as well be safe. But I can actually tank the next hit, it's not a big deal. And like I said, we're just doing pretty standard rotations here. Now, if you don't have a level 80 on, maybe yours is 70, this is still the same strategy and it's still just as doable. The thing is, I'll just do it a little bit faster and I'll take a little bit less damage right now. That's the big difference on this level gap. The A5 is significantly helpful for me, but again, if you were running an A0 on, the reality is this would just take you more turns. It wouldn't be something you can't do. It wouldn't even be that much harder, to be honest with you, but it is something to note. And then here, I'm going to throw Tarakaja, get her buffed up. I don't need to use Pazuzu into round 2, and so right now I'll just focus more on keeping a good amount of buffs and debuffs so I can get through this phase quicker. The second phase has so much HP that I just don't really want to be wasting churns, I guess you could say. So the faster I get through this phase, the better. And you can see this round is almost already done. If you're wondering where that extra fire comes from, it's from one of On's duplicates. And that's what I mean. It just really helps her get through it faster. It's not necessary, though. Now, because of how low they are, there's no real reason for me to use my highlight here. If they were maybe like 25% health, then I would use a highlight in this moment. Maybe use the one on Wonder for Dionysus to give a buff. If you don't have Dionysus, for maybe you're not the right level, or maybe you just, you know, haven't prioritized them yet, that's fine. Just use something like Jikoku-in or the other guy, one of these guys that you can put like a Rebellion on. Dionysus is just the better version of it at this point. So he gives like crit damage up and things, so you just saw that pop in there. And let's see, they're not all burning, so I'll just cast on somebody who is so that it spreads. And then we want to be high health coming into the next round, so I am going to cast. You're also going to get some SP refill when you go into the second round. And of course we'll just pop our shields. Doesn't matter at this point, I'm pretty much done with this phase. Okay. So next attack round, if they don't burn first, we should be out of this. There we go. So one down, and we've transitioned. So this is perfect. So I believe I just cast Rebellion. And so from this point forward, I'm really going to focus on stacking curse damage just to eat away at their HP, because if I look, they have a good amount. I mean, they have almost 500,000 HP. For this stage in the game, that's pretty high. Now, I don't want to waste buffs just yet, and so I'm actually going to come in here, get this going. So I'll get that on there. So you'll see I'm stacking curses and it's triggering. I'm going to use this to apply burn, and this will also buff On's next move. So there we go, we got burn, which means I can instantly go into Crimson. And then we want to be high health coming into the next round, so I am going to cast. You're also going to get some SP refill when you go into the second round. So the thing is, I'll just use my highlight here. If you don't have a level 80 on, maybe use the one on Wonder for Dionysus to give a buff. If you don't have Dionysus, for maybe you're not the right level, or maybe you just, you know, haven't prioritized them yet, that's fine. Just use something like Jikoku-in or the other guy, one of these guys that you can put like a Rebellion on. Dionysus is just the better version of it at this point. So now I'm really kind of setting up all of the kind of DOT type stuff. And then I'm just going to drop some extra damage because I can at this point. I don't really need to heal. And on, I forget where she is in her rotation, so I'm going to cast skill 3 because I wasn't paying attention. And there we go. So now we're just going to kind of keep to this. This is basically what we're going to do. I can occasionally reapply Rebellion. So right now I just want to check on and see if she has it on her. If she doesn't, yeah, so she has one more turn. So I'm going to go ahead and do Curse again. And this is where Pazuzu is really good, is fights like this where I can start stacking damage like that. We're just going to keep Burn and Sacred Flame going. I'm going to do a safety heal here. The worst thing would be if I took just like 1 hit point too much damage and then, you know, lost the battle. And this is interesting. I can either go into her skill 3 or go into Dionysus on this one. I think I'm doing fairly well, and so I'm going to go ahead and go with her highlight. And I'm going to go back into skill 1 so I can get her buff going back again. Probably did that backwards. I probably should have flip-flopped that, but that's okay. And see 50k on that bleed there. So this is why that Pazuzu strat is so good at high health bosses. Alright, so I need to switch back into Rebellion. Get that back on. And I think you can see kind of how I'm doing this now. So this is going to just keep on cycling, repeat until he's down. But a lot of the damage is actually being driven by Wonder in this particular fight. It's less so coming from On. She's particularly good for that first half. And then I'm just using the Pazuzu strat to get through the second half. And obviously she's helping. I mean, she's not doing no damage by any stretch of it. And those shields help just keep it safe. You could probably do this one with one of the offensive navies. I don't think you necessarily need to run Puppet. But because there's no reason for me to do this within a certain turn limit, unless I'm setting that particular requirement, I don't particularly care. If I use, you know, 5 extra turns or something like that. And I'm holding that highlight because I just want to switch it onto Wonder. We should be fine, but I'm just going to be safe here. Yeah, that was like no damage. But he's still taking all that curse damage. And so now I definitely need to be reapplying them. But first, I'm going to switch into Dionysus just to do this. Now, your other ones, like Jikoku, and also have that same 27 point whatever, I believe, for their buff. So, again, Dionysus is better. If you don't have them, it's really not that big of a deal. And we'll go back into Curse Strat. Get these reapplied. And I think you can see at this point I'm pretty much done. I wouldn't be surprised if you could auto battle with this team on here. I haven't actually tried it because I wanted to show you the way I think through these fights. But again, I think it's at this level with those modifiers that I selected, I think it's fully doable for quite a many teams and quite a many on auto battle at that. Bring my face back in here. And there we go. So, you know, the real winner there was having that AoE ability basically at the start of fight. So wiping down, you know, the 4 of them, or at least you got to get down 2 of them to transition. Getting that done first, and obviously an on team or a Joker team if you pulled him. Those are going to be the sorts of things that can really get you through that easy. And then the second phase, I really would recommend the Pazuzu strat. You know, get him with Curse. And if you're not running a fire team, put, let me see, I'll find it in the menu. I forget the name of it. But put the fire spell on him. I'll pull up my personas here. Because when you land Burn, or even when you cast it for that matter, but if I find them in here, when you cast it, you still trigger the curse either way. Oh, where's he at? There he is. So if you look at his thing here, When using skills to attack, 60% chance to inflict 1 curse on main target and then immediately deal curse damage. That counts for anything. So I'm using Agulo, however you say it, to apply burn effect on him. You can see I've got burn boost 2 on here as well. And so if I wasn't using it on team, you would have seen me cast this instead just to get burn on. So you get that extra dot damage. And then otherwise, I'm just triggering curse after curse after curse. And because you can stack curse, that means that he's going to be, chunking away goods amount of health. The other character, and I can't run them because I don't have them built, and I actually think this character would be good in the level 40 version, would be here. So I haven't leveled them. I probably never will. But this person can also help you stack curses. Actually, I have a lot of things on him there. So he's another one you could think about, pairing with Pazuzu, having that extra burn on there. So I think any of these teams really would be fine for the level 25. There's not too much I see in here that I think would be hard with 25. I think your Ryuji team could do it, but I think that would probably be the toughest one. Maybe Icemont would be tough. I think Fleuret, as long as that second boss isn't resisting wind for some reason, I think Fleuret could be really good in the second half. And if you're using single target in the first half, like I did with Makoto for the level 40, just focus down Bishamoten. He's the one on the far left first. Just get him out of the way and then pick your poison. I like to take down Jikokuin. So that's how you could transition with a single party team. I'm not going to make a video for every type of team you could run. Granted, I know I've got the characters for it, but I think you see the strategy now. And if you're struggling with 25, I think getting yourself to Wonder level 60 so your characters can be 70 is pretty big. I think that's going to make that something doable. I think it'd be very hard less than that because you're going against level 80 characters. So, keep that in mind. Some amount of leveling does matter. If this is your first week in the game, I don't think the 25 is probably going to happen. But if you've been playing, for, a little while now, I think it's absolutely a doable fight. But let me know, if that helps you. And if you have some questions, please feel free to put them in the chat as always. And until our next video or live stream, my friends, please take care of yourselves.